Welcome to this episode of Anthologic. We're hosts Mark and Sam. Hi, Sam.
Hi there.
Right, so we're on the Disney trade. After
Yeah.
the madness of Pinocchio, we're picking the next one, possibly one of the most ambitious animated movies Disney ever made, frankly.
Yeah.
Fantasia from 1940. Interesting one, this, because apparently it was a project which they intended to keep redoing, taking out old segments, putting in new ones over time, but they didn't really do that.
World War II kind of put a stop to that, and then interest in animation very much waned quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then Disney bought it back, so...
Yeah. It definitely did. So, Fantasia. Okay, we've both seen this before, right?
Yeah.
Apparently it was spurred on by they wanted to actually do The Sorcerer's Apprentice as a silly symphony, a short.
Yeah.
To bring back, to include Mickey, whose popularity was kind of on the way. But they actually then rolled it into this, it appears. Okay. Not quite. Let's talk about our general feelings on it, and then we'll go through the segments. What did you think of it?
I really liked it. It felt mature in a weird way, despite us having like dancing animals and like all sorts of weird little like oddities happening. It just felt like a much more mature film than the usual Disney animated fare.
Yeah, and it was and there was some quite startling sections and visuals, right? And it felt like it was trying to do something that had never been done before. And honestly, I'm not sure much has been done like this ever since.
Yeah.
Really. It's a fascinating kind of film in many ways because the music choices are really good, I'd say, and what they go along with them is in the main.
Sorry, my phone. One of my friends just messaged me and turns out I had a video on in the background.
Turn it all off. Right, that's all right. It was. I'm not going to edit that out. That's
I figured.
I like the music choices and I like the visuals. I wasn't so sure. I'm never quite sure about how much the conductor chat is adding, but it's okay. It's a sort of breathing space.
It's like the master of ceremonies.
Well, the MC then, yes.
Yeah.
I quite like this. I'd put this as probably top tier Disney.
Yeah.
Near the top. Not there's others I prefer, but in terms of impactfulness and stuff, it's really hard to say that about Disney because they deliver so many good products, didn't they? In those 40, 50 years of. Really liked it. Okay, let's get into the sections. So we kind of meet the MC and stuff like that.
We get our introduction to like basically the orchestra. So it's like, there's this sort of noise, and then there's this sort of noise. It's all hosted by Deems Taylor, who in the version we watched had been redubbed. Apparently there was a lot of re-releasing of this film and rework done on it, and the original voice track for him had been lost.
Oh, that's a shame. I quite like. I have to say, visually, this bit of the live action stuff with the orchestra is really striking.
Yeah,
it's got a sort of, I don't know, almost like a 40s musical, a Gene Kelly musical vibe or Buffy Barty musical vibe. But even though they're not singing and dancing, it's just it uses silhouette heavily, doesn't it?
It's almost like Art Deco-ish.
Yeah,
like it's lots of like brutalist silhouettes and people standing mostly in the shadows. Such as the iconic image of Stokowski doing the conducting, where he stood on the little stair raised to sort of bias. So.
Yeah, indeed. In some respects, it kind of reminded me of the stylized sort of stuff you got in, 300 or Sin City or something like that. It's kind of almost unreal how stark the coloration and the use of shade was. I really appreciated it, I have to say. Okay, So let's get into each section. The first section is Bach. Bach, personally, my favourite composer. He's Toccata and Fugue, the famous one from horror films, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It made me realise I've never really listened to Toccata and Fugue beyond like the creepy start.
Yeah.
Because it gets like quite inspirational towards the end.
Yeah, Bach tends to be like that. It's a lovely piece of music, and I do listen to it just to relax. And I know it's a common thing from horror films, so it's like, well, you listen to that to relax, but honestly, it flows really nicely. Now, this one's an interesting section for me because half of it is like quite awesome, but because it's abstract images, because all it is colours and shapes and light, rays of light. And
they start off with this is how music can make you feel, and we just told our animators to go with what the music makes them feel.
Yeah,
so we get a lot of like sort of flashes and sort of movements in the dark,
and weird things floating through space and stuff like that. So that part of it feels really awesome, but it gets old fast. Let's put it that way. I find that it's like after about 5 minutes of it, I feel like, yeah, this is okay. I feel like I'm awestruck, but then boredom, almost boredom. It's a bit like the Stargate scene in 2001. After a few minutes, you're kind of thinking, okay, let's move on now. It's been like, I'm not saying it's bad though. I really do like it, but it doesn't. My mind starts wandering. I am still listening to the music, but I'm not really paying that much attention to the visuals. Having said that, this is a great thing just to throw on in the background.
Yeah,
on the telly, you know,
it's an excellent side watch.
So. Yeah, because there's nothing to really engage you. You're not missing any story or anything. It's just sound and movement. Isn't it really?
Yeah.
It's and visual, stuff like that. So yeah, I like the piece of music very much, but this piece I feel personally is the weakest of all of them, because of that. You got nothing for your mind to attach onto. It's good to relax to. If you if you had a hard day at work or something, it's probably the best bit to watch because there's nothing to think about. You just watch. But but I am a big fan of Bach, so I particularly like this. The next piece is Tchaikovsky, the Nutcracker Suite. And the MC mentions this was the thing he disliked the most of his own work. That's what the indication is. And he also, interestingly, it's like the MC mentions, this ballet hasn't come to us yet. It's like, what? That ballet's but that's in America, apparently.
Yeah, apparently in America. In 1944 was the first showing of the Nutcracker.
Okay. So this one is depicting nature, right? So
it's a lot of anthropomorphized animals and anthropomorphized plants and fairies all dancing around.
Yeah.
Sort of doing like the cycle of nature. You get to see like spring start to form up, and then there's lots of dancing flowers and mushrooms, and then we slowly fade out with winter. So
I really like some of the elements of this. I mean, I think all of it was good. I don't know why, I particularly like the bit where there's almost like thistles.
Yes, the Russian dance,
like Russian dancing. I really liked that part. That was fun. But I liked all of it. I thought it was all pretty solid. I think this recording's not going to be that long, really, because there isn't that much.
It's just like, it was really pretty, and I liked it. Next thing. So,
that's it, yeah. But it flowed very nicely, and the Nutcracker is kind of fun. It is funny watching all these classical pieces, because a lot of them, on British telly, they used to get the music used to be applied to certain adverts. So you can't help it. When you see these adverts as a kid, and that's the piece of music you know from, you're gonna just think about those things when you hear it again, right? It just triggers a memory of when you first encountered that music, and it's stuck in your head, right? It's kind of like that. But it's a lovely, lovely piece. This was. So the next one is probably the most famous segment.
Yeah, it's the most well known, definitely, because it's kind of just one of the ways Mickey Mouse looks nowadays. It's the Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah. A marvellous piece of music, right?
Yeah, great bit of music. Yeah, this is one of the few with like an actual story as such.
Yeah.
It's because it's based on an old poem. But the premise is Mickey is an apprentice to a sorcerer called Yensid, which is Disney backwards.
Nice.
Attempted to skive off of work, so he compels a broom to life and gets it to do his potion
Fetch and carry water. Fetch and carry water.
And then he dozes off, and oh no, it's overfilled everything. So he up, and every single splinter turns into another broom.
Which carries on and on.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting. I like the fact they had their cake and eat it at one point, because when Mickey Mouse falls asleep, we see him dreaming about being a powerful wizard. So we actually see him making the stars flash on a mountain top. It's a cheers because he's dreaming, right? He's not really doing it. But it's kind of fun. I do like the wizard's hat in this. It's quite a striking hat. It's one of those ones.
Conical hat with stars all over it.
Yeah. But the broom, I have to say, when I saw this as a kid, it was almost gateway horror. Those relentless brooms, and the way it's shot, so there's just like loads of them, and you're just seeing some of them in silhouette and just marching. The music really works well with it. I really like the fact they really use the music well. You know, when there's a pause in the music, there's a pause in the action. And it makes sense. It's completely coherent in terms of a story.
Yeah. I love how they use the sort of like intensifying of the tune, I guess you'd say, to like just reinforce there's more brooms. There's even more brooms this time. So they start off with like a da 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 da. By the end, the whole orchestra is just like punching you with every beat. And there's brooms everywhere.
And they're so relentless, they're still trying to pour water, even though everything's underwater. Because that's what they're like, robots, right? They're just doing it. They're just doing what they're meant to. But then the wizard turns up and sort of stops it all.
With like a sort of thrust of his hands, he parts the water, and the brooms just flop down.
Dries up. And I remember as a kid thinking, where did all the water go then? You know.
Yeah. Well, better question. There's a bit where it shows it above the window. Does that mean they filled up everything outside?
Everything in existence. Yeah, indeed. It did make me laugh at one point when Mickey was trying to bail water through a window, but the height of the water was at the window. So it's like, what a pointless exercise that is, because it will just pour out the window when it is even higher. So, but and you know, he's been caught out by the wizard, who gives him, I don't know, a kind of.
He gives him like a sort of like
a little smirk,
scowling at him, but it's like you enjoyed yourself. Though.
Oh, you guy!
And then Mickey gives a smile at him, so he just like golf swings him like out the room with a broom,
which suits the music as well, right? And then there's the segment which was quite. I think this is a really good bit of animation where basically Mickey interacts with the MC and they even shake hands. Yeah, really well done.
He goes and speaks to the conductor. He's like, "Hey there, Mr. Sikowski," and it's he just goes up, says hi, thanks him for it.
Oh yeah, conductor. Hi. Yeah.
And then we get the weird interlude.
Yeah, there's an intermission. Now, this was a 2-hour film, and I think for some reason they felt the need to put an intermission in a 2-hour film, which seems odd. They did. Intermissions were a common thing for long films. So you had it in, like, Gone with the Wind, or Ben-Hur, or Chitty Chitty Bang Bang has one. I think that's the last one I can remember seeing, actually. But the most recent film where I remember an interlude being part of it. But there's an interlude. You know, but this is streaming, so we immediately go.
We cut back, but it's to the orchestra filing back in, and they start doing like some impromptu jazz while they're doing it.
It sounds great.
Like, they just sort of play along, and then we get the MC comes back. And he's just like, I'm going to introduce you to the most important character that we have, the soundtrack.
Yes.
And it's like, okay. And then we get a weird little bit of like him sort of pointing to different instruments and going like, you play, here's what the soundtrack looks like with that. And it's just kind of a visualization of a sound wave.
Yeah, it's a sound wave. Yeah. Really weird. And that must have been quite new to audiences then. We're used to seeing cell waves.
Oh, sorry, I skipped one. Like I dipped ahead. But yeah, this happens after.
Oh, yeah, you're right, because the intermission is not after Mickey's, it's after the next one. Yeah. But it doesn't matter, we can still talk about it. Yeah, I like the jazz stuff. I thought it was kind of cool. Yeah. So, and the animated soundtrack stuff. Very, very odd. But, we get cymbal clashes and clarinets and all this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Right, so the one we skipped is the Stravinsky Rite of Spring, a fairly famous piece. A great segment. I mean, basically, it's the evolution of life, right? Or the start of the planet, even.
The planet sort of form, meteors, and then molten surfaces.
Yeah.
And eventually dinosaurs.
And we were coming... And this is one of the few films we actually watched in the same room. We don't often do that, but we did for this. And we were commenting on how reminiscent of that. What was it? Oh, I forgot the name of the
Jaws.
Say again.
It was Jaws that you.
The music does sound like Jaws. Yeah, I have to say, there's lots of music throughout this that reminded me of various John Williams elements. But no, the movie Land Before Time. That's what I'm trying to hear.
Yes, that
very
looks a lot like it. Not just in the it's dinosaurs. It's like this is a lot of stylistically.
Stylistically, the dinosaurs in Land Before Time look like the
clearly
dinosaurs
alluded to this.
Yeah, they were sort of they were alluding to this exactly. Really like this stuff with the molten lava, the T-Rex, the Triceratopses, the Megalodon,
very
right?
menacing T-Rex.
Yeah, with quite big arms.
Yeah, it's a big one. And then we get normally with these sort of things, it's like, oh yeah, dinosaur fight, one wins, that's the end of it. No, we get the horrible choking death of the dinosaurs after that.
Yeah.
Everything goes dry. There's no food. They're sort of just pushing into the dirt to try and find stuff, not even digging.
Yeah.
And eventually they all start to slowly collapse.
Which again is a bit like Land Before Time. And also that Disney CGI one, Dinosaur, has a similar kind of thing in it. Where
they both end on
happily
notes.
Really,
oh no, we're gonna survive. And this is just that's a skeleton in the desert.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, some really nice stuff from Rites of Spring. But Stravinsky's probably one of his most accessible pieces of music because a lot of his music's quite dissonant. No, let me put it a better way. It's not melodic in the way, say, Beethoven is or Mozart. Let's put it that way. Stravinsky's a bit more all over the place, but he's still a great composer. It's just a bit unusual. Rite of Spring is one of his more accessible pieces. It's really okay. So then as we mentioned, there's the interlude and the goofy stuff about showing you a sound wave as you're trying different instruments. Yeah. So the next segment is Beethoven. So again, hitting hard with this. His Pastoral, which is, I always get this confused. I thought it was number 2, but I think it's number 6. It's Symphony number 6. So here we are in a full sort of mythological Greco-Roman kind of style.
We start off with dancing cherubs and unicorns.
And
then we get some Pegasi. So winged horses. They specifically don't refer to them as Pegasi. They say Pegasus and his family of winged horses.
Okay.
Because it's Pegasus is a singular. It's his name. So and then we get Bacchus. Strangely, it's Bacchus, not Dionysus.
Which looking at Bacchus, he kind of reminds me of Phil in Hercules in some respects, like a bigger version.
Yeah.
I feel like Phil in Hercules was referencing this Bacchus, right?
Yeah, well, it is the same, similar sort of art style, really. The Zeus kind of looks the same.
Yeah.
He's a bit more imposing in this. Vulcan looks very different. He looks a bit more like Dopey, but yeah. So we get a lot of revelry and a lot of dancing and centaurs. Infamously, there's a cut one that's fairly racist, but not actually in the version that we watched.
No, that's been erased. So I liked the fact they're all color coded as well. Yeah. So the pink female centaur.
Yeah, the centaurette.
And there was a lonely blue centaur, but then a blue centaurette came around, and all this. And then also there's as you mentioned, cherubs. There's also like little unicorns,
satyrs, and the unicorns,
little unicorns that look a bit like My Little Pony.
It's very My Little Pony because they're all bright neon colours as well. So
they're having a festival with Bacchus, who's dancing around with the centaurs. There's like a coordinated dancing, really nice animation.
Yeah.
Bacchus good and wine and sort of parties, really.
Yeah.
But then Zeus hears the noise and he doesn't look too bothered, but he's bothered enough.
No, he just starts
hurling thunderbolts.
I think he's just doing it for a bit of fun.
Lightning bolts. Yeah, it feels like it's more not anger. It's more like let's throw some stuff.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Vulcan is forging the lightning bolts for him, and he has a throw himself, I think, doesn't he?
Yeah, because they reach a point where Zeus gets bored, just like, leave it. So Vulcan chucks one himself, and then Zeus sort of brushes a lightning bolt off his sort of seat, and then goes to bed. And that's the last two, drum beats of the symphony. So.
Yeah, now we get a bit more from the MC, but I can't remember the details. I've got to be honest, I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it's basically he introduces each one with an explanation of what this sort of is representative of. He's like, okay, so for example, in the next one is the Dance of Hours. He's like, this is a ballet in 4 sections. Normally what happens is there's 4 sets of dancers. In the last one, they come in all in black and they sort of sweep every other dancer out.
Yeah, so it represents the day. It represents the movement of the day. Faces of the day. And it's called Dance of the Hours by Ponchielli. Not a piece of music I know that well. I know it from this. That's all I know. Right? Yeah. And we basically get different animals in each group, right? So it starts with a sort of ballet dancing ostriches.
Yeah, and there's sort of a lead character for all of them. So there's Madame Up and Over for the ostriches. And then we move into some hippos, and we get Hyacinth Hippo.
Yeah.
And we get some elephants who start blowing bubbles, which you were immediately like, we're a film early with this.
Yeah. It's like Dumbo.
Yeah.
Obviously borrowed quite a bit from this kind of stuff.
They're led by Elephantine.
Yeah.
And then we wrap it up with Ben Alligator and his alligators.
Dancing alligators with their capes.
Yeah, with big capes.
And then it's all a big sort of final, all of them dancing.
Run around. They're all dancing, and eventually the place just collapses.
Yeah. So that's the tragedy of that. Again, a nice fun one. Basically, the narratives within these stories keep you interested, right? And they're very short. But it's the narratives. As I was saying, the first piece of music hasn't got a narrative, so it's kind of wow when it starts. But these are much more like just watching separate cartoons, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's kind of the vibe. So yeah, really interesting and nice. I feel like not Warner Brothers, Looney Tunes kind of ripped this off a bit in the Bugs Bunny Who's Opera Doc. Not this one and the one before.
Funny you should say that. Who's Opera Doc? When they I'm thinking of a different Bugs Bunny cartoon involving like music. Who's Opera Doc is completely separate, but Bugs Bunny impersonates the conductor from this.
Okay.
Like he's
there is a cartoon
where they're like, oh, it's Leopold. that's Stokowski. That's the conductor.
Yeah.
But what's Opera Doc? It's much doing the Pastoral Symphony.
Yeah. Okay, so the last segment is a pretty famous piece of music.
It's a combination of 2 pieces of music.
Well, it is, yeah. The first is the Night on Bald Mountain by Mussorgsky. Really effective piece of music. Always has been. I think there's even a disco version of it on the soundtrack of Saturday Night Fever. How about that? Yeah. So I think because it was satanic looking, they then cap it off by fading into Ave Maria, which is the only choral piece in this movie, right? Everything else is orchestral. This is choral. So basically, the conductor mentions they're talking about Walpurgis Night, which is a bit like our Halloween. And it's like, well, it's exactly 6 months away from Halloween. It's the second most Halloweeny night of the year, isn't it? We'll probably say.
Yeah, it's the witching night, right?
Yeah, 30th of April. Here we have basically Satan, but they call it a devil or a demon.
Yeah. So this is a character they had to sort of make a separate person, but it's clearly the devil.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen Legend, Tim Curry in that, it's him.
This guy.
It's him. It's just him with wings.
And there's basically dead souls and souls in torment and all this, that, and the other, right? Spirits.
Yeah.
Spirits, again, bits of this reminded me of John Williams, and bits of it also made me think of the end of Indiana Raiders of the Lost Ark. Actually.
Yeah.
There was definitely elements like that. And then suddenly a bell goes, and
it's the tolling of the bell, first bell.
First light, right? Dawn's coming. And then it fades into Ave Maria and a much more reverential kind of piece of music. Basically a load of monks. Yeah.
Line of pilgrims all holding little torches, slowly walk to a cathedral.
And
that's how it ends. So.
Yeah, it's a bit like the elves going off to a different land in Lord of the Rings. It ends on Ave Maria, which everyone kind of knows anyway, right? Everyone knows that. So rather marvellous, actually.
Really good.
It moves along nicely. I'm kind of glad I've already sort of raised some of the issues I had with the first one. It sounds like I hated it. I don't. I think it's really good. But I think it's best at the beginning, because if you had that at the end, you kind of think, I think I've had enough of this now.
Yeah.
I think. So it kind of, the ordering is really good. The live action scenes are really good. There were bits where there was smoke. They were clearly using real smoke rather than animated smoke. Kind of interesting mix and match there. This might be the first mix of live and animated. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, as far as I can think of, yeah.
Yeah,
because Pete's Dragon was
way later. We got Bedknobs and Broomsticks and Mary Poppins and all that, right?
I don't know. I remember Pete's Dragon as being way earlier, but I think I'm mixing it up with a different thing with the dragon in the title.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, Pete's Dragon was late 70s, I think. So, or maybe not. I'm not sure now. So, rather charming. I haven't actually looked to see if it's a success or not. I know that some of the films...
They lost a lot of money on this, which is why they did... Part of why they didn't do the original plan of just re-releasing it and continuing to make it. It's made money now because they did re-release this exact version over and over, but part of their problem was they also upgraded most cinemas in America to play this with their new Fantasia sound, which is surround sound.
Apparently, distributors didn't want to do it. RKO didn't want to distribute it because they called it a long hair musical, whatever that means. And the fact it was 2 hours 5 minutes and it had an intermission, so you're talking about 2.5 hour running time per showing, meant they felt they weren't going to make money on it, right? Yeah. So Disney had to kind of take it on tour, it looks like, on road shows as an event, which is kind of a good way to do it, I guess. Yeah. And they got a year's lease at one cinema in New York, so it ran for a year. Wow. In one cinema. 49 consecutive weeks in the end. Longest run achieved by a film at that time. So how about that? So it didn't make its money, but it's been impactful and everyone knows it. So, that's something. It was released several times over the next 20 odd years. Well, probably longer, right? Disney did have this habit of re-releasing every 7 years various films. Though I have to say, I do not remember Fantasia coming out at any cinemas. I remember a lot of the others, but not Fantasia, so I'm not quite sure with that one. I assume they released a record as well, but I really don't know.
Almost certainly. Yeah. It was... it doesn't say specifically. Strange.
No, I think most of the critics found it pretty astounding. or good at least.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find some stats, but it says here basically 33% of critics said it were very positive, 22 positive, and then only 11% were negative. So not many. It's there's no reason you'd view this film negatively, I'd say. Really, I mean, it's pushing the envelope. Got to say, and I like how crazy it was now and again as well. It's kind of interesting.
It's a lot of stuff that you just never see in any other Disney film, really.
Yeah, I mean, they went kind of crazy with Pinocchio, didn't they, as well?
Yeah.
And they kind of calmed down. I mean, not Dumbo so much, but they calmed down a bit. Bambi was less crazy and so on. So, and when they were crazy after this, it fitted the story. For example, Sleeping Beauty is crazy in places, but that fits the story, so that's fine. But yeah, an interesting film. Anything else to say? Should we get to rating?
No, I can't really think of anything else.
I sometimes think about what pieces of music would I like to see in this, and there's Wagner and all sorts, right?
We may want to save this for when we do for Fantasia 2000 in a few years.
Yeah, because
part of that is they discuss unmade sequences, and I know off the top of my head there was going to be some of the Ring of the Nibelungen in there.
Wow!
So
yeah, there's lots of great pieces of music they could pick. I'm looking at some of the things they were considering. Flight of the Bumblebee would have been a great one. I can see. And there is a segment in one of the films we'll be covering eventually, reasonably soon. It's kind of based on the Flight of the Bumblebee idea, so that'd be kind of interesting. This to me feels like the big classical music film of its day. There's not many films you can think of which really embrace classical. The only one I can think of after this is, in terms of between this and when that came out, is 2001: A Space Odyssey, which took uses Strauss as an accompaniment from quite a lot of it. There's probably others. I'm sure there are others, but those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. What would you rate this then?
I'd rate this easy 9.
Yeah, I think I'll join you. 9 seems about right.
Of the 3 we've watched already, I think it's my favourite.
Yeah, I quite like it. I really like Pinocchio though, so it's close. I think they're both top tier. In fact, I think all 3 of the ones we watched so far are top tier. Actually, we've not seen a bad one yet, really, or a non-significant one. As you mentioned, we kind of also watched Fantasia 2000, didn't we? Won't say much about that, other than they reprise The Sorcerer's Apprentice. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and there's some great music choices in that too. But we'll save that until
we'll address that
in about 4 years. But we'll see.
Well, we got about 50 movies to watch before then, and that's just for this. So
that's just for Disney. Yeah, one a month. So one thing I will mention, I do recall seeing many years ago, and I've never seen it since, and I wanted to get out and try and watch it. I saw on BBC Two late night one time. An Italian sort of homage stroke inspired by animated feature called Allegro non troppo. That's a term in music which means go fast but not too fast, right?
Okay.
And I don't remember much about it other than one segment, which is really a reprise of the dinosaur segment in this. It just runs with that, and it acknowledges it's basically bowing its head to Fantasia. It's from the 70s. It might be worth a watch sometime. I might give that a go and let you know what I think. It's described as a parody here. I don't think it's a parody. It's more a homage, I think. It's more like it, but who knows? Okay, so we both really like this one, and it was a solid one. So next time we come to Disney is Dumbo. So a lot shorter.
Yes.
And it'll be fun. I do like Mickey's hat in this. It has to be said. Apparently, there's a giant version of this hat at Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Okay.
So the hat is significant to Disney. Right,
Yeah.
okay, let's wind up there. So, bye from me.
Bye.